Hello everyone, I, Mr. Ajay Kharche, Assistant Professor on behalf of Kokan Gyanpit, Rahul Dharkar College of Pharmacy and Research Institute Karzat, welcome all the participants to the second day of the National Pharmacy Week, which is organized on the theme Pharmacist, a Frontline Health Professional. And it is organized in association with IPA Raigad Branch, Pharmaceutical Society of India Nagpur, and Academy of Career Design, Entrepreneurship, and Startup. Dear participant, our today's speaker is Mr. Ravi Vishwanathan. Currently, Sir is working as an Associate Vice President in the Production Department in Whiterisk Laboratories Limited, Nashik, since from last 10 years. Sir is Green Belt certified by Milan Laboratories, which is the established operational excellence department in Milan. Sir is having the 37 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry and have held technical and management position in reputed multinational and Indian companies in his experience. Sir is worked as a plant management for 7 years, including project creating class 1 lakh premises by upgrading existing premises and heading two regulated market operation. Sir is also worked in the production department for 22 years with top multinational and Indian companies. Sir is also worked in formulation development department for 8 years in top multinational and Indian companies, having strong administrative, technical, presentation skills, and communication skills. Is worked with the various pharmaceutical industries like Dr. Reddy's, Procter and Gamble, Zydus, Banner, Orchid, Granules India, Glochem, and many more. Sir has completed his master in pharmacy from Nagpur University, and also Sir has completed his diploma in management studies. So, with this short introduction, I will request Mr. Ravi Vishwanathan to proceed further. Sir, over to
Oh,
you.
thank you, Ajay, for a good introduction. Uh, I'm starting, and good morning to everybody, whoever is there in the attending this webinar, and best of luck to you. Uh, Now, I am taking a very basic topic, which is the fundamental, I could say, in the pharmaceutical industry, and that is current good manufacturing practices. First of all, we should know why you require these current good manufacturing practices. One is we are manufacturing the medicines for sick people, people who are got different sickness. For them, we are manufacturing the drugs in the form of dosage forms. Now, in order to do this particular activity, there are two things which come as a part of the good manufacturing practices. One is we need to protect the formulation throughout the process by providing suitable environment with in terms of air conditioning and the quality of air in which the products are being manufactured. The second important thing is the people who are associated with manufacturing of the medicines should also be adequately protected by wearing appropriate gown. Gown means total dress. Actually, when we are entering the factory, we are first taking out our slipper, taking out our dress, street dress, and then we are wearing a primary gowning, and with the primary gowning only we can move inside the factory. And in case we have to go into the process area, that is we call it primary area, that we need to wear another gown and then enter that area, which will start from the granulation, compression, coating and primary packing. So basically we need to take all the precautions for manufacturing of these medicines. That is why these good manufacturing practices are required. Why we are calling this as current? Current means there is a continuous improvement in the practices. That is why we are not calling it as good manufacturing practices. We are calling it as current good manufacturing practices. So I will start with my first slide. What are the basics of good manufacturing practices? First is written procedures. Whatever the activities are being done, it has to be documented. It has to be written. And the written procedures should be followed. Like we call it as standard operating procedures for every activity, including even entering the factory premises. There are standard operating procedures. The standard operating procedures have to be written and they have to be followed. Then whatever activity is being done in the production, it has to be documented. We have to write, suppose we are doing mixing of a batch, we have to write what are the equipments used, how much time we are mixing, what is the start time, what is the end time, who has done that operation, who has checked that operation. This is called the documentation. Then the next important part is that whatever the activities are doing, whether it is making the granules, that particular process should be validated. Means if we follow a particular process, the end result should be same. We should get the same result. Even if we make that same batch 100 times, we should get the same result with respect to parameters of the tablets, then the assay of the active ingredient. So that is known as validation. Validation means producing consistent result through a process. So we have to validate each and every process. Even the equipments which are coming into the factory, it needs to be validated. Then the next important aspect is the design and building proper facilities and equipments. Design is very important because like you in your house, you make a design for the house that when you enter first there will be the drawing room will come, then dining room, then the kitchen, then the bedroom. It will not be when you enter house first bedroom will come. So the design of the same way, the design of the factory is very important. First you have to have change rooms for the people to wear the gowns. Then we should enter the dispensing, that is the weighing of the batch, then checking of the verification of the batch, then granulation, then in process stores for storing the blend, then compression, like that. So it should be like unidirectional flow. Like from one end, you start with the raw material, the other end should be the finished product. It should be a unidirectional, one directional movement of material and the manpower, the people. Then it is very important to maintain the facilities and the equipments. We have to maintain the facilities and equipments because facilities with respect to there should not be any cracks on the walls. There should be very smooth flooring. There should be no pits in the floor. Then the whole room should be completely with smooth paint, smooth epoxy paint, because the purpose is there should not be any accumulation of the dust in the room, because the dust will contaminate the product. When it comes to equipments should be of high quality stainless steel. It should not have any rust, and it should also have smooth surfaces. Then we need to be competent, because nowadays we are always evaluated by drug authorities from all over the world, from United States of America, from Europe, from Japan, from India as well. So we have to be maintain the good manufacturing practices, so that when we are evaluated by the auditors, that time we should have, or I would say the best ideal situation is there should be no observations of any kind with respect to training, with respect to the facilities, with respect to equipments or anything. Then we have to be clean all the time. We have to be clean. People should be hygiene, they should sanitize hands with 70% isopropyl alcohol. They should wear proper gown, including mask. Then they should wear goggles. So, and they should be clean. Similarly, the facility also should be clean. Then there should be control of quality. This is the job of quality assurance. So quality assurance department is the custodian of the quality. They control the entire quality of the product, right from the receiving of raw material to dispatch of the finished goods. So I have covered in my first slide what are the basics of good manufacturing practices. Now I will go one by one. First, I will go what are the responsibility of the quality control. So quality control is basically responsible for authorizing of various materials in several stages along with their documentation. Means a particular batch will be received with a document, and it will move with the document till it is dispatched from the factory. So documentation and processing will go hand in hand. If process is there but document is incomplete, the product cannot be sent into the market. So quality control unit will be responsible for authorizing, controlling the process right from receiving raw material to dispatch of the finished goods. For supporting the quality control, there should be adequate lab facilities. and proper systems for rejection or approval of the raw materials and the packing materials. So QC will do the sampling of the raw materials and packing materials. They will test as per the written down specifications, and they will approve or reject based on the testing. All the procedures, whatever the quality control department is doing, it should be written down. And whatever is written down, the standard operating procedures, standard testing procedures, it should be followed. If there is a non-compliance with respect to following a particular procedure, the auditor will give a observation saying that you are doing the product, you are doing the analysis, but you have not followed the right procedure. Okay, similarly, if you are doing an activity and you are not documenting that, that also will become an observation. Coming to the next the most important, I would say, the personal qualification. See, nowadays, the pharmaceutical industry is developing, and you see in India, there are more than 100 US FDA approved companies. So they have achieved this by following the right procedures, hiring, recruitment of the right persons. First of all, the qualification of the person is important. For example, in our company in Viatris, for operator level, we are taking graduate or diploma in engineering, diploma in pharmacy. We are taking at the operator level. Then we are training them and making them capable of capable of carrying out the operations in the company. Then similarly for the next level, that is the supervisory level, we have got from officer to senior manager. So they will be generally bachelor in pharmacy or master in pharmacy if it is production. If it is quality control, it will be MSc or MPharm analytical chemistry. Then for other departments, we will take, for example, HR, it will be MBA HR, but we will always prefer if we are taking experienced people, we will always prefer them to be experienced in pharmaceutical company, because pharmaceutical company is different from other companies. As I told you, the good manufacturing practices aspect in pharmaceutical company is very complicated and complex. Then, as I told you, all the persons should protect themselves and the product's integrity by following the good manufacturing practices. So all the persons should wear the gown to protect the contamination of the material by them. What are the contamination from the human being? One is the hairs on the person. Then another is the breath from the mouth. So what we do is we are totally covering the person completely, even including the eyes. We are wearing the goggle because the hairs in the eyebrow should not fall into the product. So totally the person is protected from hand to feet, from head to head, body till the foot by proper gowning. Then what are the responsibility of the people? People should wear clean clothing appropriate for their duties who are engaged in manufacturing operations. Like especially as I told you, in our factory, when you enter, first you have to sanitize your hand, then you have to remove the street shoes, then whatever the dress you are wearing, we have to remove it. Then we have to cross over into another room, and we have to wear the gown, the dress given by the company. That dress is washed in the company itself. Then that is called the primary uniform. That primary uniform is used in all the areas where, that is in secondary packing, and all the primary gown is used. But in case we want to go into the manufacturing area, we have to wear secondary gown on top of primary gown, and we need to go into the manufacturing area. And the dress is used only once, use and give for washing. Every day we cannot use the same dress. Even once we are removing the dress, we have to take and wear a new dress. The person has to be clean. He has to follow the good sanitization practice, and he should be in perfect health. Every employee who is we are taking in the company, we are performing the medical test for him, and unless and until he is passing the medical test, he will not get the chance to work in the company. And we have to give, the authorization is given to all the employees. Nobody from outside can enter the company, because the access controls are given to the employees. They only can enter. No access, because the access is not available for the outsiders. And for example, in warehouse department, only the warehouse people can enter. In production department, only production people can enter. In QC, only QC department can enter. Like that, each department, only respective person can enter the department. That is the access which is given to them. Any person with illness shall be excluded. Whoever is having the sickness, for example, in COVID, we are very strict. The employees who have gone on Diwali vacation, after they come back, they have to undergo 5 days of quarantine in their house. After that, they have to perform the COVID. So this is the level of strictness we need to follow in the factory. Then I talked about how the persons have to behave, how they have to be in the company. Now, what are the personal documentation which is required? How many people are working? What is the education? What is the training? And if they have any experience, what is the experience? We should have training record of the employee. Then we should have training evaluation record. Means how after the training, how the person is working in the area. Then records of who are the people who are giving the training. Then standard operating procedure, policy of training. Then who are the list of supervisors, what is the education, training, experience. All these documentation should be available in the factory. Then we have standard operating procedure, that is SOP on dress code, what dress they have to wear, what they have to follow the personal hygiene. For example, person is having a beard, he is not allowed into the plant. He has to be clean shaven. Then there are training records for sanitization and health habits. Then I talked about limited access areas, means only that department person should be has got the access for the respective department. Then in every department, list of authorized persons who can enter the department is displayed in outside the particular area. So I talked about quality control. I talked about personnel, the people who are the most important aspect of the manufacturing process. Now I will talk of how the building and facilities should be there. Building has to be suitably constructed. For example, any machinery, equipment, any machine, minimum there should be 3 feet around the machine space available. Sufficient space should be available for keeping the equipment. And loading of granule, everything is automatic, means by gravity. The minimum exposure of the person to the manual, that is manual operations, should be minimum. It should be automatic, so that the person is not coming in contact with the granules. So buildings, as I told you, the design, the layout should be unidirectional. There should be adequate place, as I told you. Equipment should be placed in orderly fashion. Then sufficient space should be there for storage of the empty drums, then blend, then compressed tablet, coated tablet, all these things. All operations shall be performed within specifically defined areas. For example, in granulation area, granulation is done. Compression area, compression is done. Coating area, coating is done. Packing area, packing is done. Then the corridor with respect to the process rooms, the corridor should have higher pressure. It should have higher pressure compared to the process room, because the air from the process room should not come into corridor, because we are not making one product, we are making 100 products, several products we are making. So the air from corridor is clean, which will go into process area, but from process area the air cannot come out, because this is positive pressure in the corridor compared to the process area. Then, as I told you, in the buildings, the flooring and ceiling and wall, it should be smooth, so that the dust cannot deposit on the wall. It should be smooth. All your switches and all, it should be flushed into the wall. All operations shall be performed within specific defined areas of adequate size. Then all the areas and process flow should be such that it prevents the contamination and mix up during course following. For example, we are manufacturing paracetamol tablet in one area, and we are manufacturing ranitidine tablet in another area. Both rooms are next to each other. So first of all, the person who is working in ranitidine area, he has got access only to ranitidine area, and person who is working in paracetamol area, he has got the entry allowed into paracetamol area only. So this is how you are preventing the cross contamination. That person working on particular molecule is allowed only for that molecule, he cannot enter the other area. So that is how we are preventing the cross contamination and the mix up. Then receipt identification, storage and withholding from use of components, drug product. So all the materials which are coming into factory, it is coming through approved vendors. Means the material suppliers should be approved by the quality assurance department of the factory. Then only the materials are allowed to enter the plant. That applies to raw materials, it applies to packing materials also. QC will do the sampling, they will do the testing, they will examine the containers, they will see that the containers are properly, they are not damaged condition, then the material is of the right quality, and the rejected components, drug product containers should be properly labeled before it is destroyed. All the rejected material are kept in red color cabin where there is a limited access to anybody. In every area there is a rejected store in which all rejected materials are kept and properly labeled before they are taken for disposition. Then the facilities should have sufficient space for storage of the materials, in-process materials. In-process materials are blend ready for compression, compressed tablet ready for coating, coated tablet ready for packing. So there should be storage for in-process material, then packaging, labeling operations, quarantine storage, storage of drug products after release, control and laboratory operations. So the facility should have all these areas. Then only the facility will be sufficient to manufacture the product. Then, as I told you, floor and wall should be smooth. If you keep your hand, you should not get any dust on the floor, on the wall. So the cleaning of the area is done with a particular schedule. Then the most important thing everybody should note is the temperature and humidity control. Temperature should be between 15 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees centigrade. 15 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees centigrade. That is the general storage condition. Humidity should not be more than 60%. 60%. But if you are storing capsules, capsules will be 40 to 60%. For capsules, hard gelatin capsules, it is 40 to 60%. For general tablets and all, it should be not, humidity should be not be more than 60%. And temperature 15 to 30 degrees. 15 to 25, sorry. It is not 30, 15 to 25 degrees. Then the air which is coming into the process area should be HEPA filtered. That is, it is filtered to high efficient. It is filtered to HEPA filter, that is high efficient particulate air. The air which is coming out from that filter is having less than 0.3 micron particle size. Then we use disinfectants, Dettol, Savlon for cleaning. Then 70% isopropyl alcohol for sanitization of the hands. Then we should have a system for maintaining any equipment. If we are manufacturing penicillin product, it should be done in separate building. Lighting is a another important aspect. Lighting should be adequate. It is the unit for light is lux, LUX level, lux level. The lighting should be minimum 300 lux level. We have got the instrument which is called lux meter. With a lux meter, we can measure the lux level of the particular room. It should be minimum 300. Ventilation, air facilities, then air heating and cooling. We call it HVAC, heating, ventilation and air conditioning systems. So for each room we have one heating, ventilation and air conditioning system dedicated system for each room. So that will control the air pressure, temperature, humidity, dust. All these are controlled by the HVAC unit. Air filtration system shall be used. Whatever the air is used for the product or in general, it shall be filtered through 0.2 micron. Then coming to the plumbing should be free from defect. It should be always the water should be in a loop, means there should not be any chance of any water to remain in the particular pipe, because it can lead to microbial contamination. Potable water is nothing but your drinking water. So we use potable water to, of course, in Viatris, we don't use potable water. We use only purified water to, even for the floor cleaning and even for area cleaning, we are using purified water. We are not using potable water. Then there should be proper drainage system, because whatever the waste is generated during the process, it should be eliminated from the facility. Then sewage, trash and other refuse from buildings. Whatever the waste is coming, the waste is sent to the government pollution department for processing the waste. So waste is sent out of the plant. Then there should be the good washing and toilet facilities. See, any auditor or visitor who comes to factory, he will visit the toilet. If he sees the toilet is clean, neat and clean, then he will make the impression, yes, the basic facilities are good, so the facility also will be good. So we need to provide hot water, cold water, detergent or soap solution and air dryers. Then coming to sanitation, buildings used should be maintained in clean and sanitary condition. There should be written down procedures for, that is with respect to the cleaning schedules, sanitation procedures. Then there should be good, insects should not be there in the factory. So for controlling insect, there should be a pest control department is there. They take care of the entire, it means there should be no insect inside the factory. So they, time to time they come and they are doing the preventive measures for the preventing the insects and rodents into the plant. The sanitation procedures shall apply to all workers and employees in the premises. So I talked about, I'm talking about facilities. So the facilities we should have, what are the list of areas? How many granulation areas, how many compression areas, how many coating areas, what are the other rooms? Total the list of rooms should be available for the facility. What is the plan of the building? Then how the material is going to flow in the plant. As I told, it should be unidirectional. Then lighting, adequate lighting should be there. So I talked about the persons, I talked about quality control, I talked about buildings and facilities. Now I will talk about the equipment. So the equipment design should be such that it should be able to meet whatever the requirement is. Then even all the equipments are validated before taking in use. They are qualified with respect to how they have to be installed, how they have to be, material of construction. As I told you, it should be smooth, it should be free from scratches, then it should not have any rust, and lubricants and coolant shall not come in contact with the product. Then the material of construction of the equipment should not be reactive, additive or absorptive. equipment cleaning and maintenance. Equipment and utensils shall be cleaned, maintained and sanitized at appropriate intervals. For the equipments, there should be proper documentation. Then the equipment should be qualified. Then we should have operating and cleaning procedures for the equipments. We have to protect the clean equipment from contamination. We have to define what will be the frequency of cleaning of the equipment, and after cleaning equipment, how long the equipment can be kept can be used before re-cleaning. For example, in pharmaceutical company, in our company, once we are cleaned the equipment, for within 20 days we have to use. If it crosses 20 days, we have to re-clean the equipment. Then proper maintenance should be done for the equipment. The preventive maintenance has to be done for the equipment. So we have automatic, mechanical and electronic equipment. Any automatic, mechanical or electronic instruments used in process, including computers, shall be checked and calibrated at regular intervals and results documented. Whatever the instruments are there, all the instruments have to be calibrated, including the computers. Computers also need to be calibrated and validated. Then appropriate controls of the person, like for every person he has got separate login and password. So he will use that only for logging in and for the password. Then the filters which are used in filtration for liquid dosage form, there should not release any fiber. That is very important. See, it is that we have made good facilities. We have made we have got good trained people. We have got good quality control lab. We have got good documentation system. We have got good quality assurance department. But what is coming into the factory is very, very important, because the contamination comes from two things. One is the persons, the people will give the maximum contamination. The contamination is from air, that is dust, particles, then bacteria. These are the two. Everybody should remember what are the main contaminants in the pharma plant is the bacteria and the dust particle, these two things. So whatever the equipments components are coming, they should be dust free, or if they are having the dust, it has to be cleaned. It has to be with vacuum cleaner. We have to remove the dust. We have to remove all the adhered dust particles on the material and the components, the containers, and then only the material has to be taken into the factory. When the material is received, the material has to be checked for if there is any damage of the container in which the material is there, whether the right quantity has come, whether it is right specification, whether it is from the approved supplier, that is need to be checked. Then the materials are received. There is a area where the materials are received. Then they are first the dust is removed from the containers. They are kept in one particular pellet. Then after removing the dust particles, then they are taken to the next area where they are checked by the warehouse person and the quality control person. Then they are kept in the storage racks. Then the materials are sampled. After the sampling, they are tested for as per the standard test specifications. Then if they are approved, the approved status is there on the material. The supply chain department will issue the process order. The process order along with the batch record will come into the stores. The stores will receive the batch record. They will weigh the batch materials. That is called the dispensing. And that dispensing is also done in class 1 lakh area. That is, class 1 lakh means not more than 1 lakh particles per cubic feet of air. To summarize, all received materials shall be physically examined for appropriate labeling, container damage or broken seals. Materials shall be quarantined as per standard procedures till they are examined and approved. So the material will be quarantined or it will be in waiting till the QC has sampled them and done the analysis. So representative sample of each shipment of each lot shall be collected and kept as reference. So for every material, we will have the reference sample. Tomorrow, if any complaint is coming from market, we will have this reference sample to investigate. So sampling will be done as per the appropriate standard operating procedures. Once container is opened, it has to be resealed securely to prevent contamination. The containers shall be sampled from top of the container, middle of the container, and bottom of the container. So now we come to the most important and interesting topic, that is production and process controls. So we talked about what is the good manufacturing practices. We talked about quality control unit, quality QC function. We talked about the persons who are working in the factory. We talked about the buildings, the facilities. We talked about sanitation. We talked about equipments, how they should be. Then we talked about the input materials, the raw materials, the packaging materials which are coming into the factory. Now, all these things are approved. As I told you, the process is like this. Received of raw materials in the stores department, issue of process order from supply chain department to warehouse. Warehouse means stores. The stores department will weigh the particular batch. The batch and the batch record will enter the production area. In the production area, they will be once again checked by production and quality assurance. The weight, the content, the authenticity of the material will be checked in the production, and then they will be issued to the respective granulation area. Now, in general, any process is we are deviating, immediately we have to raise the deviation. Because once we have written down procedures, we should not deviate. If we deviate, then we have to raise deviation. For example, the temperature is more than 25 degrees. Then we have to raise the deviation. So written down procedures for production and process controls shall exist to produce a quality product once and always. Now, why we are saying written down procedure? Because we have to, the ultimate aim and objective is that finally we should get the same product quality every time. Whether the product is manufactured for 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, same product quality we should get. So for getting the same product quality, we have to follow the good manufacturing practices, written down procedures, standard operating procedures, standard testing procedures, gowning procedures, and wherever there are the deviations, it has to be recorded and it has to be justified. Now, when we are taking the batch, how we are calculating the, see, we want to give, suppose in the label it is written, each tablet contains 500 milligram of paracetamol. Means we want to, it has to contain minimum 500, not minimum, 500 milligram of paracetamol. Generally, when we are getting the active pharmaceutical ingredient, that is when we are getting the drug, that is paracetamol, the content of the paracetamol will not be 100%, it will be 95% or 96% or 97%. So, what we are doing, we are adding 3% more because we want to give the patient 100% of the drug. So we calculate, and also suppose it has got 3% moisture, that is 3% water. So how we'll calculate? Let us say 95% is the chemical content and 5% is the water. So we will do 95, 100 divided by 95. So we have to add 5% more of the drug and 3% more of the drug for compensating moisture. So suppose we are taking 100 kg of paracetamol percent, we have to take 105 kgs, 5% more, because the drug is the assay is, the chemical content is 95%. So that is the meaning of providing 100% to the patient. So all the components for drug product manufacturing shall be weighed, measured or subdivided appropriately. If components are taken from new container, they should be identified with following information: component name, item code, receiving or control number, weight or measure in the new container. So there should be the proper labeling of the container of the batch, what for which product it is weighed, what is batch size of the product, name of the product, what is the gross weight of the container, what is the tear weight of the container, what is the net weight of the container, everything has to be written on the label. And once a batch is taken for the processing, every time each component which is added, suppose you are adding paracetamol, then you are adding lactose, each and every component should be added by one person, and that should be verified by other person always. So in the batch record you will find done by, checked by, done by, checked by. So now we talked about production and process controls. We'll talk about packaging and labeling controls. So only approved labeling and packing material shall be used, as I told you. Record shall be maintained of all the received shipments indicating receipt, examination or testing, and whether accepted or rejected. Different product labels shall be stored separately with suitable identity. The primary packing material means the material which is going directly on the container. For example, labels, then your aluminum foil, they are all primary packing materials. So they should be issued from the stores in lock and key for that particular batch. Then obsolete and outdated labels. Obsolete means the labels which are to be destroyed, which cannot be used, and outdated labels shall be destroyed. So we talked about quality control unit. Then we talked about personal requirements, personal documentation, buildings and facilities, environment controls, equipments, then packaging, labeling components, active pharmaceutical ingredients. Now, then we talked about production and process controls. Now we will talk about expiration dating. To assure that drug product meets accurate standard identity, quality, strength, and purity, we do the stability studies of every batch. Every batch is, say, not every batch. Say the batch is kept as control samples are kept for every batch. Then once the product is developed, we are keeping that particular product for stability. And based on the stability, we are giving the shelf life for the product. Means they say that suppose at accelerated condition of 40 degree and 75% relative humidity for 6 months, that product can be given the expiry date of 2 years. So depending on the stability studies, we give the expiry date of any product. So you will see, if you take any strip, you will see manufactured on October 18, expiry October 20, means September 20, means 2 years expiry. How that expiry date is found out? It is found out by conducting the stability studies. Once product is developed by the R&D, they conduct the stability studies, and based on stability studies, they will say that this product can be given expiry date of 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. Then the final thing is that once your product is manufactured, it is converted into the finished goods. It is kept in the warehouse. Warehouse means stores. In the warehouse also there are to be written down procedures for storage of the products. Then the distribution procedures. For example, oldest approved drug product shall be distributed first. Distribution records of each drug product shall help in tracking the movement of the drug product and easy recalls whenever needed. See, suppose there is a problem in the product and we want to get the product back from the market. The records should be such that easily we should be able to find out the details of the particular batch and get it back into the factory. That is called the recall. So that's it. I will once again brief you about what are the things, like as I told you, the current good manufacturing practices are required in the pharmaceutical industry because we are handling the medicines and medicines are given to sick people. So we have to follow all the good manufacturing practices. The good manufacturing practices includes the design of the building facilities, persons who are working in the factory, the equipments which are there, then the quality system of the company, what are the active pharmaceutical ingredients, the components which are coming into the factory. They should all be tested, and the quality assurance will ensure the complete quality of the product right from the receipt of raw material to the dispatch of the finished goods. My email ID, I can share this presentation, I can send it to your college. So I know the time is very short, so I have to go a little bit fast. So anybody can call me or they can send me the mail if they have any doubt in this particular chapter. Thank you. So I am now ready for the questions.
So, dear participants, if you have any question, then you can post in the chat box. Okay, so I think there is no any question, sir. I think it is
Okay.
very well understood by the participants.
Okay, good.
So, yeah. So now we will conclude the session.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a great honor and a privilege to propose vote of thanks on behalf of entire fraternity of Konkan Gyanpet Rahul Dharkar College of Pharmacy and Research Institute on this second day of the National Pharmacy Week, which is organized by Konkan Gyanpet Rahul Dharkar College of Pharmacy and Research Institute in association with the IPI Raigad branch and ACES Academy, Nagpur. First and foremost, I would like to thanks our today's speaker, Mr. Ravi Vishwanathan, for delivering such a nice information about the pharmaceutical industries. They have covered most of the areas related to pharmaceutical industries, like the quality control area, good manufacturing practices, building and facilities, personnel who working in the factories, equipment which is used in the industries, then sanitization, then the import material, raw material, packaging material which come in the factory, production and process control, packaging and labeling control, and expiration dating. So thank you, sir, for providing such a nice information related to pharmaceutical industry. Thank you once
Thank
again.
you.
Next, my sincere thanks to our management and our principal, Dr. Mohan Kare sir, for giving the opportunity to organize this webinar series. Last but not in the least, thanks to all the participants and delegates for their active participation. So, thank you, Vishwanathan sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All the best for the students.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.